Hello class, welcome to another instructional video about doing your literature review and getting ready for phase 3, your research design. What we're going to do in this little video is just going to show you some more about what I've been telling folks to look for in doing their literature review. Now, at this point, you should have gone out and gotten your 12 articles, you've read them, you've tried to understand what they were doing, and that's a good thing. As you remember, this is the article we used before. It's a very good article. I started out by talking about how with your literature review you want to have dominant themes. What are the themes there? This one's dominant ideology theme, the race and stratification ideology theme, and a bunch of authors in there, the role of religion in shaping beliefs. Number of articles in there, different authors and stuff in there. A focus on white conservative Protestants is one of their themes because that turns out to be the whole idea of individualism and how that fits in with us, with the way we view inequality in our society. And there's how black churches address the issues of inequality and how they talk about it is another theme that he uses. That's a very long theme. And then here we're at the end of the literature review, and it says to better understand how religion shapes blacks' beliefs about racial inequality and opinions, we need a better one. So what are they going to do? That's basically their research thing. We want to have a better understanding of how religion shapes blacks' beliefs. All right. So this is where we start talking about what did they do, and what they did is really what's important for you to understand for your literature review. So this basically is giving setting the stage for what they are going to do. Given the provocative literature, they wanted to get a better handle of how blacks feel about things. So their data comes from the GSS survey. For those of you who are taking data analysis in your next class, you'll see that is used extensively in a lot of our research. It's talked about in the book. It's what they call a secondary data set. Remember that chapter that you're reading for the class. All right, and this talks about how this is how they're operationalizing their variable of race. Okay, conservative Protestants, mainline Protestants, Catholics, Jewish, other faiths, and non-affiliated. And then they're breaking that down into how blacks look at it. Black Protestant, conservative Protestant, and the like. All right? So this is how they're formulating, this is how they're operationalizing all of their terms. All right? This set here is stratification beliefs. This is how they're measuring individualism. Okay? This is what, for your phase 3 assignment, this is the kind of stuff that you'll be doing and explaining to me, what do you want to measure? What do you want to look at? And this is some of their results. Some of the times your articles, the results will be very difficult. You may not understand them very well, but for the most part, you can get a lot out of these articles, even if you don't understand the statistics yet. So this is all their, this is basically their findings. This is what you need to be reading and looking closely at for your literature review, is what did they find, right? So how are they going about looking at stuff? And then they are looking about different questions. These are all more questions that they're asking about their approach and how the opinions are. This is they're analyzing some of the opinions for the things that they've operationalized up before. And some of this might, again, talk a lot about the statistics, but I think you'll be able to get a grasp of what they're doing. And these are just some more figures that they've looked at, some more discussion about what these bars mean, how to interpret them and the like. And then the discussion of the individualistic and anti-structuralist explanations, etc. The big part you want to start paying attention to for your literature review also, though, is their discussion. In the discussion, they really say, this is what we found. And that's what you want to do, and that's how you build your themes. What do the different articles you're reading, how do they fit together in what they found? All right, this is a fairly long, extensive discussion about what they found. These ideas prove a few starting points, and they keep talking about this is what we found and this is what we want to do next. And that's basically the end of the article. That's where you need to go to look at the literature. In your literature review, what you need to analyze is, what did these people find? You don't want to worry about what their literature review says, except maybe to find a few more articles to read, but mostly you want to understand, what did they find? Let's look at another article. This is also comes up in the search whenever I was doing our process earlier in the assignment discussion. This article, Religious Affiliation and Beliefs about Racial Inequality. This is white college students. Oh, that's interesting. Tammy McNulty Idle actually used to teach at the University of North Florida. She's now at Montana State University. Here's their abstract. And then here's their discussion about what this is their literature review. You can see the highlighted articles. This is all what they are doing. These are all some Sherkat and Ellison, two very famous sociology of religion people. Emerson and Smith, big time. So this is their literature review. This is one of their next theme. Explanations for racial inequality, the theme of how do people explain why we have racial inequality and the like. Religious affiliation and racial attitudes. Remember that from the last article. So we're still talking about, this is still their literature review, talking about what people are finding. All right, and then they get into their section again. This is relevant for your phase 3. What are their data and methods? What is their research setting? In this case, their research setting is a predominantly white state university in northwestern United States. My guess is since they're at Montana State, that's probably where the students were going to school. It had black, white, Native American, and they're going to study how attitudes about black, white, and Native American inequality. All right. Their sampling strategy, this is one of the things you'll use for phase 3, is what is their sample, right? So they got their sample from 3 course selections from the university of required courses. These are their variables that they're going to look at. Again, this is something you'll need for phase 3. Available responses, that's how they do it. Their independent variables, they lay that out quite nicely. Religious affiliation, that's measured as religious denomination. So religious affiliation is their, if you will, their concept. They measure it by what denomination are you. Okay, and then they talk about their analytic strategy. Here they start talking about the results. This is for your literature review. This is really where you want to start paying attention because this is what they found. Again, you want to know what did these different people found. So they have religious affiliation and explanations for racial inequality. So they have a whole discussion about the role of religion in viewing race. You'll find some tables like this. This is an odds ratio for logistic regression. You don't know what that means right now, I'm pretty sure, but maybe one of these days. But for the most part, it's an interesting table. You don't have to worry about the statistics at this point because, again, you haven't had that in class, and you won't have that in class unless you go to graduate school. But for me, this is some interesting reading. All right? Again, this is where it gets into the most important thing, their discussion. What did they find and how did they lay out what they found in their discussion? And again, it's a page and a half long there. That's really, for you all, that would be about, in your study, that would be probably 5 pages of typed double space research. All right, and let's look at one more article. This is an article by Penny Edgell and Eric Tranby called "Religious Influence on Understanding of Racial Inequality." Again, this is their introduction. They have a lot of stuff. This is their where they start their literature review. See, you've seen some of these names in the other articles we've been looking at. All right, this is one of their themes: racial attitudes of conservative Christians. Another theme is cultural tools in the structural location and formation of racial attitudes. That's a whole other area to look at. All right, they have 2 themes there, and that's a really long theme. All right, so that's their 2 main themes they have. Then they start talking about their research. Their data comes from the American Mosaic Project, which is a multi-year, multi-method study about the basis of solidarity in American life. It was a telephone survey. Over time, it had 2,081 people who responded, and that's the database of what they're looking at. Their method-independent variables, this is where they lay out the variables they're going to do. Again, this part here, from data down method-independent variables, that's what you're going to be using for component 3, for phase 3. And then now they're answering their own questions. First, there were a series of questions asked respondents what they believe are important explanations for African American inequality. So they look at the results from that. Solutions for inequality is another analytical theme, or analytical component for their dependent variables. Their independent variables, they look at these are their independent variables. Again, this is just a descriptive table. You should remember that from your data analysis chapter. And they talk about what the people look like and the like. And then they come to the results. Again, all this stuff about the methodology is what you need for phase 3. The results help you with your analysis for your literature review. What did they do? And then this is their results. This is what they found. This is what's important for you to understand for your literature review. This is what they found with the white subsample. And this is a fancy table with logistic regression. Again, people like sociologists like to use logistic regression. And you can just read about what they say. You don't have to understand the statistics, but you can understand what they're finding. Another table, and then they have what people's proposed solutions for, and the like. And then they go to the full sample and compare. Again, that's their analysis. That's what they're finding. But the big point comes with their discussion. Now they start doing their discussion. What did they find? And concentrating on the attitudes of white religious conservatives, the analysis finds whatever. And then you keep going. Our findings regarding the effect of gender down there. Unfortunately, our data set does not. And they kind of have a caveat, but then they finish out saying this is what we found for another couple of pages. All right, 3 pages now, and then a conclusion, and that is what you need to understand for your literature review. So then you can use these 3 types of articles as one theme. What are the themes that go amongst these 3 articles, and pull the idea together for you. I think that's going to help you out a lot. Good luck with it, and if you have any questions, drop me an email.